So, hi there. So, like some people already noticed, the template for my PowerPoint presentation is not mine. It comes from Cameras. So, just to show you that I have authorization from him, right? I just asked, can I use it? So, please don't send any messages to him after that presentation. He's already aware of that. So, probably I don't know who knows who I am. So, I'm a guy from the Lower Silesia, as like maybe 100 kilometers from here. I left Poland like 25 years ago. Probably you see I still have accent in my English. Don't think this guy is retarded. I'm just from the part of the Poland of the Canada where we speak French. So my primary language when I talk with my kid, when I talk with my wife, is French. I did all my studies in French, and I would say my English is my third language. So if you, maybe just before I'm gonna go directly to the GDPR compliance, which is the date is like perfectly, like 25th of May. So it actually kicked in today. So maybe just more about me. So as my fellow colleagues, I'm Sitecore VP. I started to work with Sitecore in 2012. Back then was Sitecore 6.4, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, this is where I work with cameras, so that you probably guys know or read a few of his blogs. We work like 2 years together on the same project. What else? I'm from like really. I'm gonna show you. Maybe gonna switch to the Google Earth. So if you're wondering where the Montreal is. So there you go. This is like really north of United States. It's an island, which is really really weird. Like the left of the island is more like English-speaking people. On the right, more French. In the middle, we have most of the people speak both languages. And as you like workplace, you have to speak both of them. And it's a little a mix of, I would say, European culture and North American. For example, what is really funny about those guys, I'm gonna call them Quebecer, like people from the Quebec. They have some, I would say, duality. So if you're gonna ask them what is the temperature outside, they're gonna tell you in Celsius. You're gonna ask them how much is Fahrenheit, they have no idea. They cannot able to tell you that. But in a pool where they're swimming, right, next to their home, you're gonna ask what is the temperature of the water, they're gonna say you in Fahrenheit. You're gonna ask how much is in Celsius, they have no idea. So it depends. So it depends what is the same with the height. So they have some like metrics. They have some imperial measurements as well. The same with the toes. I have at home. I have like my toes. I have two sets. One of the metric, one from the imperial, because I don't know, my car could be American, could be from Europe, so I have to deal with that duality. So today, first I'm gonna show you the agenda, and you're gonna notice that I'm a kind of the guy that have agenda, but I never stick to my agenda, so it will be a little bit different. So I already covered the first part about me. So next, the GDPR. The main objective of this presentation is to show, because probably most of you guys, you are developers, technical guys, right? But it's really hard to talk about the GDPR without having in mind the big picture. And what we actually doing as developers is really small part of that, right? So even guys that you just described at XConnect, you showed us how fantastic tool it is. But even for GDPR is adding a lot of the troubling and complexity, because you're pushing data to XDB, you're taking data on XDB, but now with GDPR, if the data comes from other sources, right? How are you going to show to the client when you have to write to show to the visitor all the data that they have about it? Or even worse, when if you collect it from something from your website, and you push into the into XDB, right? To using XConnect. What then with the data that someone else is processing? So Sitecore is like just a part of the problem. So let's jump to the GDPR. First, why we care, right? Because everybody, like I would say, I don't know how. I was actually doubting myself last 2 weeks about my presentation because I'm coming from Canada. Actually, I'm working for an American company. All my customers, they're from United States. So actually, like I'm just feeling like I'm showing people from Europe that probably they're more compliant. They're more compliant than us, right? But just our perspective, I'm gonna show you what we did. So everybody, I would say, I spoke even with fellow Sitecore architects that working for global company that like some of the, I'm not gonna name it in front of the camera, but credit card company. I asked them about when January, February, what did you do for GDPR? And they asked me, what is GDPR? So even those big players, they wasn't ready. And as you see on this timeline, actually this law has been voted like almost 2 years ago, right? For the first, the Council, the European Council, for the first time, they mentioned this in 2012. All the voting in the Council, Parliament, there was 2016, right? And everybody had like almost 2 years, and we just know about it. Probably you guys maybe more than me. No, not even you guys. So like everybody now is trying to do, even Sitecore. In the beginning, the answer to for the GDPR was upgrade to Sitecore 9, and there's a lot of the problems with that because first, it's not answering to all the problems that GDPR compliance brings to us. The second, not everybody can upgrade to Sitecore 9. I'm gonna explain you later why. So one of the reason is the fines, right? Everybody thinks about it. They said the fines are up to 20 million or 4% of the income of the company, which is higher. And someone on the audience said probably those people that are gonna look over that law, they had the only financial or the budget that they're going to have is going to be out of the fines, right? So in their best interest, going to be that. Other people says it's going to take time to be really close to be compliant because in the beginning it's going to be really a fight on the legal level because this law is really really broad. It's hard to interpret, how we have to apply this, especially for every of those technologies. So in the beginning, everybody says, let's do our best. Let's show our good intent that we want to do the most. And we're gonna see after that. The second part, why we care, is reputation. We don't, especially what happens lately with the Facebook, with other companies, we don't want to be the news. This will be bad PR for every company. So money is one thing, but reputation sometimes is priceless. So we should care about GDPR as well. Going further, so we all Sitecore guys, but beyond the platform, we need to have all the roles and key roles in our companies. Data subject is like visitors, like everybody, like Mr. John Doe, actually, and as well we need a data processor, someone in relation to personal data, and who process the data on behalf of the controller, and someone to apply this in our company, how, why, and for what purpose actually we process, because it's not only Sitecore marketers that like data. They just gathering data, and sometimes probably you guys have the same thing. You have Sitecore with all those marketing tools, you're using Google Analytics, Omniture, whatever. So before the mining was to just grab everything and then we're gonna see if we need it, how we can use it, what we can do with that, right? So now with data controller, we have to first to explain and only get the minimum that we really need to process. So someone have to think about it. So it's beyond of the tool. So what the GDPR says that now we need like legal justification in order to process personal data. And what is the legal justification? Sometimes it's a consent. So probably when you're gonna now you guys all see it now. Every new website that you usually browsing, you have those pop-ups, right? Sometimes it's by contract. It depends how to integrate Sitecore or something else. The best example is even e-commerce, right? So from the contract, I need some information. So this is legal justification to gather the personal data. Or the client asks us to do something for them as well. This is legal. This is a legal justification. And the last, and not the least, is legitimate interest. So the processing is necessary for the purpose of legitimate interest. For example, the marketing communications. So, how has been seen in the United States, in Canada before GDPR? I know better my keys that. So I'm gonna try. I'm not that sophisticated. I'm a little bit older than. So just going back to the Facebook why we care. Before in the United States, we're saying, you know, like our part of the business we're doing with European Union, it's not that big. So usually wasn't that the priority as it was before. But then with the scandal with the Facebook, with the Cambridge Analytica, we just know that we're gonna have something, you know, similar in United States and in Canada in near future. So once doing for GDPR for the European Union, we're gonna be ready for our legislation. So now even in the United States, everybody is really serious about it. So there was a survey to find out about the people, the visitors, what they think about the topics related to GDPR. So, for example, as you see in here, do we agree or disagree with the following statements? And you can see the percentage of that. So, I don't think companies should be able to contact me without my permission under any circumstances. I would opt out all communication with any company if I could. I don't think companies should store my personal data at all. I would not buy from company if they are not GDPR compliant. So before, probably people never read about it, but with all the scandals, all this news, all that bad PR, people now are aware. So we have to be more careful as well. And the rights. So if the given option would be, what would you do? Any of the following. Opt out for receiving emails for the companies. Everybody says yes. Ask a company to delete your records completely. Request to see all data a company has on me. Opt out of receiving a tracking cookie. And opt out of seeing retargeting advertising. So all this information has been gathered in 2017. So the GDPR is really going when what people think. Oops, I told you it wasn't the best idea. So first, I'm gonna talk the GDPR top 10 issues. I highlighted only a few of them that I'm gonna talk later. This is like more related to us, to the Sitecore developers or developers period. So the first one, understanding our data. Data mapping and justification for processing. So sometimes it's really a mess. We have a lot of the raw data, be thinking about, data mining, but we have a lot, but we're not controlling what we have. So the people, like on the business level, first have to find out what we have and why we have. So this is really huge effort. Then we have to think the pop-up that we have, right? Someone on the legal level have to think about it. Have to. It's taking time just to edit and put the right stuff. Data breach reporting as well. Contracts. So customers and vendors. So as well, like we as our company that we hosting, or our partner, or our client, we are GDPR compliant, but we have to make sure that all the data that we're gathering, so our customers and vendors and hosting company, we have to make sure that they as well are GDPR compliant. So it's another like legal effort. Data subject right, and now as well we have to train the people from the marketing, all the Sitecore users and anybody else training. So training and awareness, appointment of the DPO, which is the data processing officer, data exports. So one of the points that from GDPR that you're going to see later is the right to data portability. So we can take everything that we have, that your company have on a visitor and transfer it elsewhere. Privacy in day-to-day operation, privacy by design. So probably you saw like Sitecore 9 reason to upgrade. One of them is that the newest Sitecore platform is the privacy is designed based on the highest standard of security, which for example HTTP certificates. You can tag some data as the PII. What else? You can as well encrypt the SQL Server as well. So there's a lot of the options, and this is true that Sitecore 9 is better than the previous version. Federated notification, I would say, is like a part of that as well. 9, information security, and number 10, ongoing assessment. Because nobody gonna be ever 100% the GDPR compliant. So this is like ongoing effort that we have to work on and on. So probably you saw that. So using XConnect, using Sitecore, this omni-channel product. So we communicating both ways with a lot of the channels. So we have to make sure it's actually, I'm saying for the GDPR is adding like a complexity and difficulty. So we have to think all the data that we receive, all the data that we pushed elsewhere. Okay, this looks like I missed like a title on that one. You have to forget me about it. So so for our company, the problem that we have so many things to do in this year. Our roadmap was the GDPR in the beginning was like 3rd and 4th on our list. So we're doing the repositioning, new brand completely from our company, the GDPR thing, and the Sitecore upgrade. So Sitecore upgrade, we pushed it to the end of the year. So all those new better features that help to be GDPR compliant, we had to do it later because of the priorities. As well the problem is, for example, we're using the Sitecore XDB Cloud, which the end of the life cycle is going to be by the end of the year. So we have to move to all the XDB infrastructure elsewhere. So hosting changes, repositioning, and as well from the license perspective is all those people that before have the Sitecore perpetual license. sometimes they need to switch to the new one by consumption, because the number of the production instances was not enough to make it work with Sitecore 9. So we try to stay as long as we can with Sitecore 8 and move to Sitecore 9 later. So our approach was to make Sitecore 8.2 GDPR compliant. So I think it was by the end of the April, Sitecore released Sitecore 8.2 update 7 that have like a few features that help you to be GDPR compliant. Actually, we didn't have time to upgrade to that latest version of 8.2, and because we already implemented almost more of the features that we see on that list. This is just this is from the release notes on that version, and I just pasted the 3 of them that helps to be GDPR compliant. So if you're looking for the first one, they added just the few facets. So you can store in the in XDB agreement date and policy notifier. So because the policy that people agree may change over the time, so you have to store not only that someone said yes, I agree with your policy, but you have to keep the version as well. Because if you change your policy, the agreement that you have before it's not good anymore, right? So this is what what Sitecore is adding. The second part was to help enable the organization to implement right of access, right to data portability. So I look into I think upon that code, I look into that get interaction cursor. So actually I was a little bit disappointed because it's calling existing code that was before. The only new thing is just the paging, and you can select the data that you want to see. But at the end, once again, what you're showing to your end user, it's up to you as the developer, as to the business users to decide what. Because we're taking all the interaction, this is raw data, and we have to think what we're gonna expose, and how we're gonna expose. Do we have to obfuscate something or not? So yes, there is new API by Sitecore, but nothing that you couldn't do before. And the last, they added it to the pipeline, remove contact PI sensitive data. I was really proud of when I saw it, because this is exactly the approach that we did to raise the visitor data. We implemented the same way. We added the new pipeline because we not only removing the data from Sitecore, from XDB, but anything else that we integrated our platform. So even from the web for marketers forums, yeah, we're talking as well with the Salesforce as well. So all data that we gather through our website, we push elsewhere. We have to raise, right? So the data pipelines help us to add the new steps. So we don't have to redeploy. We don't have to change our logic. We're just adding new processor to our pipeline. Just adding a new piece of where we want to erase user data. So so now finally, I'm gonna show you like some code. What we did. The first one was to anonymize contact. So we did a few things. And actually I don't know what happens, because please don't take pictures first. There was the demo that I did. It's not the production data. So the first one, the idea in here was to build a form in our website. So the visitor, when goes to our website, if they want to see what we have on them, they're gonna see a form. with all the data that like the name, first name, email, whatever. So with that approach, they would see what we have on them, so they can correct it. So because those fields are editable, so they see what we have, they can edit, so correct it and save it. And if someone gonna check a checkbox like forget about me, we were calling that code. So actually, long story short, with that code we anonymize the contact. So someone that was before identified contact, now it's gonna be anonymous user. The only problem that you're gonna see, I tried to use the .unknown, which is .anonymous. It's not working. It should be none. So that one, if you're gonna look, it's 1. Actually, the value of that unknown is 1. We're trying to anonymize someone, right? So I was thinking the anonymous gonna work, but I'm actually that. If you're gonna take a picture of that, please change it for now, right? And identifier for the existing user, we pushing for null. Actually, let me just go. That's why. So that was the second part. Now, so once we have a new contact that we anonymize it, we have to merge with the existing ones. This is where all the information is going to be to place. For our XDB persona, all the fields, we identify which of them are PII. So for example, this is just for the demo purpose. You see that we're putting the first name, surname as empty. So make sure not only not only the contact is seen as anonymous, but really we don't have any more data about those people anymore. And you can imagine, like, that was just for the demo. The production code is completely different. It's more dynamic. So we have identified before those. We have the mappings, which fields we have to empty. Let's go to that one. So in here I'm going to show you the GDPR requirements. This is probably the information that's really so in the Sitecore documentation. I just kept it what has to be done in Sitecore 8 and Sitecore 9, and you're going to see as well why we choose the approach to stay for the moment with Sitecore 8, because I didn't see that much added value with Sitecore 9, unless we're thinking about the design, privacy by design, right? So for example, the first point, the right to be informed or being transparent about what you collect. So in the body version, Sitecore 8, Sitecore 9, you need to do the custom development and use the APIs. The only thing with Sitecore 9, you can use Xconnect, which is really much easier. And with Sitecore 8, you have to make the calls directly to MongoDB. There's the second point, the right of access, or allowing individuals to see what personal data you're processing. So they're saying in Sitecore 8, there's no product or features to support out of the box, right? And with Sitecore 9, once again, they're saying like the magic solution is Xconnect API, which we all know. This is like marketing stuff. We have to think. We have to talk with the marketing, which information, and how we're gonna show it, how we're gonna change it. The Xconnect API is just it's make it easier, but the most of the work for the both implementation 8 and 9 for me is almost the same, especially if you're already talking to the MongoDB, if you have any code to do it. The next one, the right to rectification, or allowing individuals to have their personal data corrected. So once again, in both of them, Sitecore 8, Sitecore 9, you have to make the changes. So this is once again custom code. That's true that it's easier for the so we have find a way to show to the user what would you have on them, and think about the a way to save it once they're gonna correct it. So as I just described it before, our idea was a form. We have a form, editable form. We're just pre-filling with the information that we have on user, so they can just confirm this is exactly what this is actually correct data, or they can change it, save it, and then we're doing the code that you just saw it. Once again we just merging the contact with the newest information. The next one, the right to erasure, also known as the right to be forgotten. So nothing in Sitecore 8, nothing out of the box. And actually this is the one of the thing that I would say with Sitecore 9 have advantage. They already have a method in API, execute right to be forgotten. So partially this things it works because out of the box, all the fields in Sitecore we know which of them are PII. But what about the forms or web for marketers? Don't forget, this is the tool for marketers to build new forms like out of the box without help of any developer. So we have no idea what those guys gonna put in those fields. Could be PII as well, right? So then it's safe in the Sitecore in XDB forms database, not only in the in XDB. So this feature, it's once again, it's not enough. You have to do some custom development. For example, what we did, I can show you at the end when we adding the fields into the forms, we have as well a checkbox that is saying this field is PII. So when we calling that our pipeline to erase the data, we're going through as well to the in our case for marketers database, and we actually replacing this data with the empty strings as well. So the right to restrict the processing or allowing JAWS to stop you from performing operations. So in that one, at the end, I can show you the real demo. So our approach was to probably, I was really happy that as an architect, I was thinking about generic solution. In the beginning, the client asked us to implement some kind of model window pop-up in the beginning. So you have to say yes or not in order to get to our website. So what we did, I created a custom rules, personalization rules actually, right? One of them for GDPR. One of them was user already opt in. The second one is the visitor already opt out in current session. That means someone gonna say no, we're not tracking nothing about them, but I don't want to bother them with the pop-up on every page, right? Or 5 minutes later. So what I'm saying, I was lucky why we went through the personalization rules, nothing hard-coded, because after the demo they said, no, we don't want the model, we want the floating pop-up that's gonna be on every page, as long as someone gonna click on yes or not or no. As well, those rules can be reused by any other components on the website. The pop-up with the policy is not the only things that we can use for the GDPR. And the last one, the right to data portability, or giving the JAWS to personal data. So they say in here the Sitecore XP ensures full interaction history. So yes, they have a cursor as well to give this information, but as well at the end, what we're gonna show the user and how we're gonna show to the user is a lot of the thinking from the business, not only us, we Sitecore what is providing to us is just a tool to retrieve that data. But how we're gonna present it, which form, and is this the anything that we should remove? Because please don't forget that in that raw data you have all the goals that a visit triggered, right? Maybe few of them we don't want to show to anybody else because maybe we want to some obfuscate it, like make like more generic name, because we don't want to expose to our competition what's our I would say marketing strategy as well. So we're not hiding anything, but maybe we have to transform that information the way that we're showing to the user. So I would say Sitecore 9, Sitecore 8, the effort is the same. And the last one was the right to object or prevent you from processing their personal data. So the boat is the custom development. So for us was just to enable or disable the tracker in Sitecore. So I was thinking, I don't know if you want to or not, especially that we already showed you a few slides. I cannot show you everything because I would say I would put my client vulnerable, right? So I'm ready just to show you what we did to anonymize contact. From the code you saw it from the slides. From what we did from web for, actually I already told you. I should wait to the end. So what we did with the web form for marketers, and as well with the opt-in, how we implemented this floating window and personalization rules. So it's just based on your interest. So once again, so for a few cues for the web form marketers. So when you are sending the data to the web form marketers, all the form submission information go directly to MongoDB, or I would say XDB or Sitecore 9, for example. So how to know if the field is PII? So we added to our template, you do the checkbox that a marketer when he's building the new form can check this new field is PII. So in MongoDB, I know if you check the structure of that table, you have always like form ID and you have field ID that match items. So it's easy to find out all the field ID with the value 1 when we put this is PII. So there is a really easy query to remove all the values for the fields with that value checked, actually, right? Identified as the PII. So this is it. So we have that options: upgrade to Sitecore 9, upgrade to Sitecore 8.2, update 7, not to 7 that has been released on April 26th, or to customize as we did. And, any questions?
Yeah, actually, instead about web form that you're marking those fields as PII, containing PII data possibly. What about fields like the open text fields when user can input anything and they can just describe